Hey guys, I'm Blake.
And I'm Jamie.
And we're Blamey.
Guess so.
Yep. So today we're kind of a special thing. We're going to share
So special.
2 books that we're sure they're not going to like. So particularly I have a book that I'm certain that Jamie's not going to like, and Jamie's a book that she knows I'm not going to like, assuming we read them. Right? And then we're going to share why we don't think they'll like them. It might be a little quick, but basically these are ones that we may get recommended in other settings, and just why we should stay away from them, and maybe why you should stay away from them as well, because they're probably awful, except the one that I'm going to suggest. Yeah. Anyways, do you want to start? You want me to?
I'll start.
Okay.
Why not? I don't know. It feels dumb. You're not going to like Twilight.
Why?
Because this is how you're going to read it. Bella Swan. Oh my gosh, does she turn into a swan? Oh, okay. Washington, nice. It's probably going to rain. They're probably going to kiss in the rain, aren't they? Oh my gosh, he's a vampire. You're kidding me. You know, like, that's just going to be like, he would just, like, give me crap the whole time.
I would.
Which would actually kind of be fun now that I'm thinking of it. No, it's just too cheesy. You're not going to appreciate, like, okay, that's not a ton to appreciate. I'm thinking of when I read it for the first time as a teenager.
Sparkling skin.
See what I mean?
Right? I mean, tearing heads off.
No. Anyway, I read this as a teenager for the first time. And so I think if he had, like, been a voice in my head as I was reading it, it would have ruined the whole thing for me. Like, sometimes you just got to enjoy a little bit of guilty pleasure stuff.
Sure, I guess so. Yeah, I don't think I would like it. You know, it's interesting. My whole experience with Twilight is seeing some of the Twilight movies. To be fair, I never saw the first Twilight movie. My introduction was the second one on a crappy like projector somewhere where somebody had ripped it off of the internet and we were watching it, and I was so confused. Man, was I confused. And then the only other movie I think I saw was the final one where everybody rips their heads off. And then all of a sudden they're like, just kidding, that didn't actually happen. So, yeah, I think I'd hate that book. That's a good point. Yes. I think, yes, that'd be awful.
I do just have a question. Are you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
I don't remember which one's which. Which one's the wolf guy?
That's Jacob.
He seemed cooler than the other guy. The other guy, from what I remember, seemed like a baby.
Pretty good summary.
Good.
Anyway, I don't know. I feel lame for picking that, but I just know for sure you wouldn't like that one.
Yeah. So I picked a real book. This is called The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. First of all, let me just say, this is a phenomenal book. It has excellent characters. But there's a few things that I think are particular about this book that Jamie wouldn't like. And the first thing I want to say is it's you can tell by the cover, it's a gory book, right?
Is that blood?
Yeah, there's blood all over this.
I didn't know.
One of the main characters is, I believe they call him an inquisitor, but he's basically a torturer that tortures people for information. And the scenes do not leave much to the imagination when it comes to torturing people. And so it's a really interesting character, but also one of those where it kind of made me queasy at various points, and so I think you would hate that.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
The other thing that's interesting is the characters are so good in this book, but they're all awful. So there's not a clear-cut protagonist. Every person that you think that the guy's the hero does something awful. And so you're reading through this and you're like, there's no one in here that I can really root for because they're all horrible people. Which I think also would hurt with that. And one of the things that hurts is you have the romance in here, but the horribleness happens in those relationships.
Yeah.
And so it kills the romance in it. And so
I'm out.
Really compelling book, really interesting book, not something that I think you would enjoy.
Did you read that whole series?
I did read the whole series because it's really interesting. The other thing that I think may be a harder thing for you is the plot is very, I don't want to say non-existent. That's not quite the word I'm going for here, but it's definitely not driven by the plot. It's driven by the characters. And so it's an interesting thing. You can start this book and end this book and say, did anything really happen?
Yeah.
Like they traveled from one place to another, but nothing really happens. And even through the entire series, like the plot is really not the compelling thing about Joel Abercrombie's writing. It's the characters. and their moral issues that happen and how they're handling things and different things. And it's not to say nothing happens. It's just when you talk about a slow burn when it comes plot-wise, this is a slow burn plot-wise. I remember finishing it and being like, wait a minute, I have so many questions that didn't get answered, and what just happened, mainly because I'm not sure anything happened. But I loved the characters and I loved the writing. It's really interesting, but I just don't think it would fit what I know you like about things. I think the plot tends to drive you a little more than necessarily the characters, which is maybe why you like Twilight, because the characters are awful and people make fun of it for it, right? But it's the plot that I think people actually are a little bit more interested in. It's kind of the broad strokes of girl becomes vampire, becomes some fight between vampires because of girl has child.
You know so much.
I know so much about that book.
Didn't know you actually got that pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like what? I bet you the first 3 books are about girl becoming vampire and becoming vampire because she loves a vampire. And then girl has child, which causes some sort of war.
He doesn't want her to be a vampire. He doesn't wish that upon her. So that was never like...
Yeah. I didn't say guy who is girly wants to be her to be a vampire. I said girl wants to be a vampire.
You're right. Okay.
Right? Like that's what she wanted.
I feel dumb for bringing this video up because... What? It's fine. Just gotta supposed to end this.
Like and subscribe.